Jeremiah, and today I'm going to be talking about the advantages and disadvantages of the U.S. using the Electoral College. So, most of us as adults take part in voting every 4 years for our president. And do you really know what you're voting for, though? I decided to research this question and many more. In my research, I found that we are actually not voting for the president directly. We're voting for the electors who vote for the president directly. The Electoral College has been used for a long time. It's been used since it was created at the 1787 Constitutional Convention, where it was determined to be the most logical form of selection to select our presidents for our country. But as our latest election shows, the Electoral College still comes into question. The Electoral College is a confusing concept to understand, but it does pose advantages and disadvantages that both for us, the voters, and for the candidates. So to start off, I'll tell you about what the Electoral College is and how it works. So what it is basically the voting system that was deemed the most logical to use for selecting our presidents. How it works is electors are chosen to represent each state, and there are as many electors for each state as there are representatives. Electors are chosen by the political parties. They're chosen twice. First by the political parties, which make sure that they qualify for the position, and then second by us, the voters, on voting day to represent us and who we want to vote for. The electors represent a state's majority vote. So they hold a meeting in every state for each body of electors, and they come together and cast their votes and make what is called a certificate of vote. The certificate of vote is sent to Congress, and Congress officially records and tallies all the certificates of vote. A presidential candidate needs 270 electoral votes to win the presidency out of the 538 that we have. Out of the 538 Electoral College votes that there are. So now that you know a little bit more about what the Electoral College is, I'll tell you about two main advantages and disadvantages it holds. I'll start with the advantages. Representation is a very important part of politics. Everybody wants their fair share. Okay. Everybody wants their fair share. Kay Russell, an English technology reporter, says that each state gets an equal amount of electors to the amount of reps it has, representatives. This means that since they all have equal amounts of electors representing them, that each state is just as important as the next in the system. The second advantage is that the Electoral College represents the country as a whole. Gary Glenn, a professor in political science, states that the Electoral College strengthens the national vote and weakens the federal and district vote, because direct election would abolish the state's electoral districts. Basically, the Electoral College uses a national vote using every state equally instead of individual popular votes, because bigger, more populated areas would be more represented, and this would lead to an unfair advantage. Now that we know two of the advantages, and we'll move on to the disadvantages. The first disadvantage is that one of the main disadvantages is that the Electoral College is a very confusing concept to understand. Dewey Clayton, who has a PhD in political science, tells us that after the 2000 presidential election, many Electoral College critics called for a revision of the Electoral College, saying that it was too complex. Now, the fact that the Electoral College is so complex to understand means that it steers potential voters away from voting at the polls come voting day. And what that means is the reason they do that is because of the fact that they don't understand what they're voting for, or they feel like their vote isn't going to count. The reason that this is a disadvantage is because of the fact that these potential votes are not being cast, and these potential votes could have influenced the electors in voting for who they're going to vote for. The second disadvantage is that popular vote does not determine who wins the Electoral College. I mean, the presidency. The Electoral College decides who wins the presidency. Clayton also goes on to say that in the 2000 presidential election, Bush lost the popular vote by 600,000 votes, but won the majority Electoral College votes. No one quite understands. This same problem has come up before, including the latest election between Trump and Hillary. No one quite understands why this issue is generated, but because it would make sense that if you win the popular vote, that you would win the Electoral College, the majority of the Electoral College votes. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. Like I said, the system is very complicated. It has a bunch of ins and outs. Many people have tried fixing this problem as well, but the simple reason why the Electoral College has not been changed since it has been made is because of the fact that no more logical ideas have been created. The Electoral College is the most logical way to select presidents. So, the Electoral College, to conclude, the Electoral College is a very challenging concept and system to understand, but having more knowledge about it really helps us in determining how involved we get within our country. The Electoral College holds the fact that it gives smaller states a voice and that it represents the country as a whole, but it also poses the disadvantages that it is very confusing, which deters people from voting, and that a candidate who can suffer a loss if they get the national popular vote, but not the majority electoral votes. I hope that I was able to inform you more on the Electoral College, and I hope this information helps you. I encourage you all to go out and further your knowledge on the Electoral College and politics in general, because gaining the knowledge we need to gain this kind of knowledge helps us make the right decisions for our country. Thank you.